talk show for geeks that we are calling Jockeys Wax Plastica. Yeah. Cue the trumpet sounds, right, guys? Yeah. So I'm Jockey7, and I will be your host, I suppose. And then we have Ghost Jockey immediately to my right, and immediately to his right, we have Bat Jockey. So we are going to talk about a really cool Iron Man figure that you see in front of you this evening, and potentially some other fun pop culture stuff, and kind of see where that takes us. So without further ado, we're going to start out with, I guess, a bit of a review of the Hot Toys, what is it, 285? MMS 285 Hulkbuster armor figure. And wow, this guy's huge. That is a serious figure. So this figure belongs to Ghost Jockey. And it is, how tall is it?
22 inches.
22 inches tall.
I think it was.
Okay, wow, that's
and it weighs, I think, close to 9 or 10 pounds.
Pretty big.
10 pounds. Was it 10 pounds?
Let's pick it up right here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Wow.
Yeah,
all right. It's got some heft to it.
It's basically the size, I hate to use the term, it's about the size of a newborn baby, really. It's
that's crazy. That is crazy big.
Well, and it took them, this was delayed 2 years?
Yeah, I think 2 years.
Yeah,
almost longer than that.
I ordered this in July of 15 and got it in December of 17. So 2 years and
2.5 years, basically.
2.5 years.
Yeah, and it's got a lot of nice detail on it. What doesn't it have? Of course, you have not put the batteries in it.
No.
28 batteries?
I think 30 exactly.
Batteries.
30 batteries,
I
exactly.
don't put the batteries in. Some collectors do, but there's the whole acid leak if it sits over the course of time. And putting batteries in a Hot Toys figure on an Iron Man, if you've ever done, is the ultimate exercise in patience.
Yes, so that's, yeah, exactly. I was going to just comment on that exactly, that Ghost is a believer in the batteries being dangerous in Hot Toys, and I have to agree with him. Every time I've ever put batteries in a Hot Toys figure, I've ended up with something broken on the figure. Usually it was an Iron Man, so I have since retired from putting the batteries in them. I like that it was easier when they used to put the batteries in the figure, like in the slot for you, and they just put the tab in that you would that you just left between.
I think the last one they did that with was that Mark 7 from the Avengers.
I think you're right. Yeah.
And they used to do that, and you just pulled those panels off an arm or head.
Because they go from the 7 to the 42. Is that what they did?
No, the 7 , I think. Yeah, it was that big a jump because the 42 was the main one from Iron
Man 3, right?
And then they went back afterwards over the course of.
Yeah, and did like the 9 with the pepper pots and then 9,000 other ones with their exclusives and the shotgun and the sneaky and the bones and the stealth and the hot rod and the disco. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's a million different ones.
Tab, like you said, you just yanked it out, and each one had its own little switch. Each arm had its own switch.
Yeah.
Each hand had its own switch.
Which made it easier to do the batteries if you wanted to turn them on. Of course, you would have to eventually worry about them going bad and then potentially leaking, at a certain point. But that made it easier. Now they don't put them in there. So you don't have to worry about the leakage ever happening because you don't put them in the figure, but you also don't get the lights unless you want to open it up and put them all in yourself.
Even on that Mark 7, which is the only one I've ever put lights in, it was hard. The lights worked great. They were powerful. Mm-hmm. That chest one on the Mark 7 would blind you. If you.
It was really strong.
But
I remember that one.
A panel off each one that had a tab on it, which means if you broke the tab, good luck trying to get anybody to replace that.
Yeah, right.
Because that was one of the last ones they did all plastic. Now they're all mixed.
Right, or all die cast, which certainly gives you an advantage.
On and off. So you had to turn each switch on. So it took you a couple minutes to turn the whole thing on. Mm-hmm. And by then.
That's not even worth it.
It's not, exactly.
Right.
See, now I will say I do put batteries in the figures.
Okay.
But I don't do Iron Man. I don't collect Iron Man.
But you have some Batmans with batteries.
I got Batmans with batteries, Star-Lord with
right.
the helmet.
Right.
Downside
How was the lights on that one?
Oh, it's amazing.
It's real good. Yeah, the lights on the eyes are real great. At least on the first one. I did the first one because I just pulled the tab.
Good on that one.
But what bothers me with that is the access to the on-off switch.
Yeah, you got to take the thing off. Yeah, take off part of the head to get to it. Yeah, they don't make it convenient with any of them, especially knowing how fragile they all are.
Now,
right?
I will say one thing. can't think of the name of the company, but they made those. I wish I could think of the name of the company, and somebody that's watching will probably know. They made that little set where all the wire. They put the batteries, the wires, and you could all of
with like the soap charger thing. The soap. Yes.
So you could turn it all at once, but the soap box for this one, if I remember right, was over $200.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you were right. Yeah, it was. Which is kind of crazy.
But
well, you already spent $1,000 to get it. Well, I mean, not if you got it early. If you ordered it early, so yours was what, $800. So $800. So it takes to $1,000, and not everybody that gets this figure is going to care about that.
Well, not only that,
I will say the people that I have seen display this in their collections, nobody has the lights in it. I personally don't think I've ever seen it lit up unless it was a promo picture from Hot Toys.
It's a pretty intimidating figure in and of itself, right? I mean, just looking at it, from here, right? I mean, so if you're talking about putting on 30 batteries in this thing, that's an undertaking, right?
Oh, and even before we started, Jason was Jockey was posing it, and it's a house payment in a nutshell. It's a month's worth of sometimes more for rent, and
right.
It's very intimidating to touch it because I don't want it to
break
I don't want to break it. I don't want to mess it up, but I don't want to say Hot Toys is fragile because some of their figures are very durable.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I'm a museum poser. Some people are action posers, and I will take the boo hiss from that jockey all day long.
Yeah, Seven's gonna give it to you as well.
Oh, I know. But
I tend to pose my stuff.
and
as hopefully some folks can see in the background a little bit.
Yeah. And even you doing it, you can tell the joints are. Don't you feel just a little bit intimidated by posing it?
It's the fact that it has like a ratchet style, like elbow or knee, where you do have to put some torque into it, and you're afraid, I'm gonna snap it right off. Maybe it's not supposed to. It is supposed to be moved.
How much is it? How much of it is plastic versus die-cast? Is there die-cast on it?
I thought the die-cast. The reasons why the engineering,
it's the base.
The base is die-cast, and I thought the joints were die-cast because they were having problems
without it not breaking.
And the elbows,
no,
keeping the weight.
That's actually a really good question. Why did it get pushed back for 2.5 years?
I think the Ironmonger figure was the big reason because
certainly drove it.
You remember the old Ironmonger figure?
They all crack in the leg joints.
I think that they promoted this figure for Age of Ultron so much, and it was the crown jewel of Hot Toys collecting outside of maybe the DeLoreans, that they had to be ultra careful, and they didn't want to have to deal with
I have a DeLorean right there, and I gotta say that's a little bit more impressive to me than the DeLorean, and I like the DeLorean quite a bit, but that's pretty impressive. I mean, if
they make one for Infinity War, I'm sticking with this one because it's just.
Well, it'll come with a Bruce banner.
Yeah, I got a banner I can throw in there.
That's not that big.
But we're not going to take it apart. But if you do, you can see that it does come with a bust.
And they'll recast a short-haired banner figure,
but it does come with the bust for a 43, or you could put an actual Mark 43 die-cast figure.
Can you show any of that? Can you get the head open to show?
That's actually where I wanted you to go with it. No, I don't touch it.
No.
That's kind of where I wanted you to go with it. The original design of it was not meant to have a figure inside of it. So
was it? See, I thought the original design was supposed to have a hole.
Just going to have the bust, just the shoulders.
Okay, and then they changed it.
They were going to go full on and redesign it. The first focus they did.
And I apologize.
They showed pictures of them actually putting the figure inside of it.
And
to me, that just turns this thing into a whole.
Now, I'm not going to open this up
figure.
too much, but
I mean.
I would never.
Which is fine. Yeah, you don't need to open it all the way there.
Yeah.
But you can see the head right there where the bust of the 43 goes into it. And
that's pretty cool stuff right here.
And the good thing,
it's pretty cool stuff right in there.
If anybody ever gets it, if they haven't gotten it, the great thing about the interior is all the pieces that lock the bust into place are magnetic.
Yeah.
No tabs, no. Any kind of,
That's really
buttons.
nice.
It's actually all magnetic.
You got to get a tab to snap or something that can break off and you lose it. The magnetizing those is a lot better off. Way smarter move.
These yellows on the side.
Mm-hmm.
And these are easily just interchangeable. Both sides does the same.
As I say, it's an option. You got to change them out.
Yeah. And they don't attach with the magnet?
No, these are actually tabs.
Okay.
The first time you do it, it's a little hard.
Yeah, a little intimidating.
Because you think intimidating is the right word because you think you're going to break it. And
yeah.
When I did it this time, it was nothing.
A lot easier because you know what to expect too.
Off when you put it in the box. And if you see the box is huge.
Well, it's hard to know how much give it's going to have versus, or does it catch right away? Do you have to drag it across? And when you don't know, it's a little more intimidating.
When you put the figure in, and there's 3 or 4 different pieces to lock the Mark 43 into place.
Mm-hmm.
And the instruction booklet from Hot Toys is not exactly the easiest to see how they put the pictures and the arrows.
Yeah, that's a common problem.
Are there videos you recommend or something?
YouTuber and Budget Stark.
Budget Stark,
He
that's a good
does
one.
a 4-part review, which takes about 48 minutes to watch the whole thing.
Yeah,
and
he's a good reviewer, I think.
He's probably he does great reviews, and he goes into exact detail on every piece goes in, and he even shows you how if you want to put a Mark 43 in, it comes, and it actually comes with Nerf padding you can put around the legs of the figure, so when you stick it down in there.
You won't scratch.
It won't scratch your
Oh,
legs.
nice.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's
forget about
a nice feature. That's a cool feature. Yeah.
It is a remarkable piece of engineering, and it's just the price tag can scare a lot of people.
Oh, sure.
Well,
And-
worth the wait.
And the weight, and when you get it, some people are. I'm not an expert in posing. I'm really not, and these two guys will tell you I'm not. But even owning it, it's just a little bit more intimidating, and it's the it's the price point.
Yeah.
And now, unfortunately, I think everybody sold out. Sideshow.
Most of the way it seems like
they're
that.
on
Yeah.
eBay now.
Time Walker.
They're on eBay for $1,000 to $1,200.
Yeah, you can still get one for about 1,000 shipped on Freaks.
That's not-
Yeah,
yeah,
Freaks
for-
has still got them.
Yeah.
But-
Some people do. Because,
Well, I tell you
there's not a
what.
lot of people there that necessarily want to shell out that much.
If you do get it, it will. I think it will fit on a Detolf, from what I've heard. But you can't do too many action poses.
It would definitely only fit if you took out...
You have to take out a
I was
shell.
going to say, you definitely have to take out
And
a
the
level.
recommendation, because they did talk about that, don't use the original Detolf glass shelf because it's too heavy. It will break the glass.
Ooh, okay.
So that's another big point. They say either put it on the bottom shelf or go to a custom glass place and just get a double plated.
Yeah,
And you'll
okay,
be fine.
okay.
Yeah, so that's a good point.
I have mine on a regular shelf. It does get a little dusty, but a feather duster in 5 seconds fixes it.
Yeah,
And-
spray
yeah.
air.
yeah, air on
I
it.
certainly...
Duster, yeah.
I mean, sitting here looking at it, I certainly would like to have one, but it's... Because it's big. But it would also... I have kind of one main diorama for Marvel fighting stuff, and it would kind of take up the whole entire thing if I had it in there.
The thing about this one is, if you do get it and if you do a static diorama, I have mine as part of a workshop with Tony Stark,
Yeah.
banner and the desk,
Mm-hmm.
the light up desk.
Yeah.
So it looks like they're building it.
Yeah.
Yep.
But most people, or if they do it other than a static pose, are going to want the scene in Johannesburg from Age
Right,
of Ultron.
right.
So you need Age of Ultron Hulk too. Everybody remembers the first time they got the Hulk back in, was it 2013?
Yes.
And how big that thing was, and then you'll see this, and it's just
The Hulk is nothing compared to this thing.
But it is a great, and I have to give it to Hot Toys. The delays were great, and many. And how many times did Jockey 7 say it's never coming?
Yeah,
back?
I expected
think
it to be
one time,
canceled.
Did you not tell me? Oh, Hulkbuster's an urban legend.
It's a myth. It's a myth.
It's a myth.
It is a myth, folks. It is a myth. The Hulkbuster does not exist, and here it is in my living
And
room.
every year it's like, okay, it's going to come out, and then they delayed it from. It was supposed to be September of 15, and they delayed it. Oh no, it was supposed to be.
To like
May
the
of
summer,
16,
yeah,
or
to like
something next
the summer.
And it's like, oh no, it'll come out at Christmas of 16.
And then they stopped doing date.
And then they decided,
They just
we'll
said,
let you know.
Yeah, it'll be out when it shows. Yeah, we'll tell
let
you.
you know. But it's.
A whole
Would
nother
you say you had an
year.
emotional moment when it was in your hands?
There's a whole story which we may cover on another episode.
Yes,
Yes.
definitely.
But-
definitely.
It was a surprise getting it when I got it, and it did bring a little tear to my eye. It was
the
a great
timing,
Christmas
the
gift.
timing of it
The
was
timing was
Christmas
amazing.
gift. Nice.
Yes, I'm sure Mrs. Bat Jockey will tell you all about it if she ever shows it.
Certainly.
Yeah, she's got it on video.
Oh, great.
Well, let's transition our way a little bit and talk about the newest Marvel happening that we've got going on out there, which is the Black Panther movie.
Black Panther.
So, full disclosure, 2 out of the 3 of our panelists have seen the movie, and our third panelist has not seen the movie, but
And not really driven to see it either.
so
Spoiler warning apply from here on out.
so has cleared us to talk about the movie and
Absolutely.
discuss details that he won't know without seeing it. So I saw the film. I enjoyed it. It is a little on the longer side for a Marvel movie, and is not necessarily paced as action throughout. So I could see, a complaint of it being a little slow, maybe at times at least. But it was well acted, and
The cast is great.
yeah, the cast is very
From what
good.
I've seen, it's great.
For an Marvel origin film, I think it's the best acted of the Marvel origin
Yeah,
films.
I would agree
Is
with
it
that.
considered an origin film?
Yes, well, somewhat, because he
I'm saying
becomes.
it's already the Black Panther.
Well, he becomes Panther in this movie because it takes place literally a
Right,
week
Civil War.
after his father dies in Civil War.
Okay.
So it's his trial and whatnot that he has to go
There's a thing
through.
He has to go through to be Black Panther.
Okay.
Yes.
And you'll see, when you see, I hate to say you've seen the movie.
Well, we can talk about it.
Yeah,
I mean,
talk about
that's
it.
we.
I don't care.
It's
Spoiler alert!
just curious.
Spoiler alert for
He
Black Panther.
becomes
If you
Black
have not
Panther
seen it,
through a trial, where
please
they-
stop viewing. Although I don't want you to stop viewing.
Or as part of the Wakandan culture, there's I think 5 tribes.
Yes, it was five tribes. Yes, so
And
like
anybody
5
that
families.
wishes to challenge his leadership
Oh,
may do
okay.
so. Now, the king of Wakanda, the Black Panther, gets between the vibranium. It's the backstory. The vibranium
Mhm.
meteorite mixed with this plant
Mhm.
gives the Black Panthers
His power.
powers.
Yeah, the vibranium gives them all their tech and their weapons,
Mhm.
and this plant gives the panther himself his strength and stuff. Right.
And it's
Yeah.
basically it's a mixture of the vibranium and this plant mixed together makes that makes this flour, and they grind it up and you drink. Now, for the trial, he has to take his Black Panther power away,
Sure.
and he fights
gotta
whoever.
To fight as a human,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And
Yeah.
if he wins, because basically the Black Panther power is about the same as what the super serum you would think. Do you think he's as strong as Cap? And-
Close. I don't know about. I don't know. I don't know as strong, but close.
Yeah.
With the vibranium mixed in the suit, that he gets the added
I-
boost,
yeah,
I would say,
yeah.
pretty close. Yeah.
But it's definitely smarter because the Wakandan
Yeah.
culture in this movie, because of vibranium, is the most technically advanced
Yeah.
culture on the planet, and they're also in hiding.
Well, yeah, they're also elitist
They're-
about
they're
it. Which, I mean, they're pretty
isolationist,
elitist about it. Yeah.
because they feel they're better than the rest of the world in certain ways. More
Yeah.
advanced.
Do they?
But they're not wrong.
That, or do they say
You
that?
get-
Well, they're not.
You get a vibe.
You get a vibe, and
Okay.
they definitely do talk about how the rest of the world is crazy, and there's a bit of a racial overtone to it. I mean, the villain talks about slaves and slavery and how he's from Oakland in the movie.
Okay.
He is Eric Killmonger, Eric Stevens, or was it
I
Fisher?
don't remember the last name.
I don't remember if it's
Yeah.
Stevens or Fisher. I think
But
it
he's
was.
from Oakland
Killmonger.
but he's
Yeah, I
Eric
think it's
from-
Stevens.
He's from Oakland in the late '80s, early '90s.
Yeah, from like 1992, and
Oh,
so
Eric from Oakland.
yeah, so and obviously he has a rough life, and he loses his parents early on, so he's then an orphan.
And it's very political driven.
NWA didn't let him join.
Well, I mean they're not in the movie, but he's angry. He's
Yeah,
certainly
yeah.
angry.
But it's but they do it in a way where it's when he tells you the reason why he's doing what he's doing, you're like, I understand.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Definitely.
I understand.
Yeah.
It's not
Definitely.
like they
I mean,
just threw it out
he's
there.
on a revenge trip
Okay,
for
so
sure.
He's a villain,
Yes.
but it doesn't come across as much as a villain.
Well, no, it does.
He has a storyline.
He has a storyline that gets fleshed out in the fact that he is Panther's cousin. He is T'Challa's cousin, and the various Black Panthers, the kings of Wakanda over the years and the generations, had sent out spies to other nations in the world so that they could see what was going on in the world
Keep an eye without
Sure.
being
keep an eye without coming out and saying who they were or whatever. And all Wakandans have a crazy purple number thing inside their mouth.
They
Okay.
lit the
Like
lip,
the-
it's
the-
right- it's tattooed.
Yeah, it's like but it glows.
purple.
It's glowing purple.
Nice.
And that's how you really know somebody's from Wakanda. Is they have this,
Okay.
and if they don't, then they're full of crap. If they say they're from Wakanda, right?
I actually thought about getting a lip tattoo. So yeah.
Well, there you go. So go for the purple one that looks like it's
glowing in the dark.
yeah, that's gonna glow in the dark, and you'll be good to go. And so early in the movie, the King T'Challa is young, or no, T'Chaka, sorry, is young. They do a retro shot 30 years early, and they go to Oakland, and there's somebody betrayed us, and they stole vibranium.
Take tech, vibranium out.
Right, and
share it with the
sell
world.
it with the world, share it with the world, because he was seeing, how he was seeing oppression of black people all over the world, and was angering him, and he wanted to try and stop it. So of course, Wakanda's got that kind of elitist, isolationist thing going, where they don't really want to get involved with anything else because they know what a mess it all is. Is basically the attitude they take. Yeah, we are who we are because we don't mess with everybody else, and we don't get involved in their crap and all their drama and everything like that. So he's trying to figure it out, and he's got this younger, they dress him up to look like a gangbanger kid going with this other guy that's a young man who's kind of gangbanger-ish. He's got a gun in his back pocket and wearing a t-shirt, and his pants are down low and whatever. And T'Chaka shows up, and they have some sort of disagreement, and then he gets killed, and he kills the gang member, and then they leave, and you see kids outside playing basketball, and it's all very fragmented. And when they show it at the beginning, of course, and then you come to find out that one of the kids playing basketball is Killmonger.
Oh, okay.
And
the guy he killed was his dad.
And the guy he killed was his dad, and he goes in and finds the dad's body. They see the Quinjet tech type jet flying away and disappearing into the sky.
Which, funny enough, if you read one of the backstories to the Quinjet, it's made by Wakanda.
Right, exactly, right. Yes, exactly. Exactly.
So if you were to wonder where some of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s technology comes from...
Definitely comes from there.
It's a sneak out of it.
Clearly, because when they show him flying and the inside of it, it's like it totally looks like an Avengers, like the Quinjet, panels and stuff.
Okay, let me play... just interviewer, since this is a movie I have not seen.
Sure.
And again, like I said, I've not driven to see it. I enjoy the Marvel Universe. I've actually really more enjoyed the side story ones. Like, I think Ant-Man is probably one of the better of the movies, and then the first Captain America, I really enjoyed
good,
that one as well. So maybe I'll ask just random questions, like, what was your favorite connection to the Avengers storyline out of this movie?
There literally isn't. There isn't one. The only one in it at all is Martin Freeman, who was in Civil War.
Okay. Everett Ross, the CIA agent that was in charge.
That's it.
So it's his own stand.
And then the second after credit scene has Bucky in it, and that's it.
Okay.
Well, and that Bucky scene's more to set up Infinity War.
Right.
But the only thing that they mention out of anything else in the entire universe is the fact that Team T'Chaka died, and they're coming back to Wakanda, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean,
that is really
because they even reused some footage from Civil War, from the UN and the explosion, and then afterwards, but they didn't show Cap, and they didn't show Black Widow, and they didn't show anybody else except for T'Challa.
And the only other thing they mention, and it's the funniest joke in the movie, is Everett Ross gets hurt, and it's a competition.
Yes, it is very. It was really good. It was quite funny.
He got shot.
Yes, quite funny.
And Shuri, who is T'Challa, Black Panther's younger sister, she's 16, and she's probably the smartest, technologically advanced person probably on the planet.
Yeah.
And she comes in, and he comes in with him on a stretcher. She's like, I got somebody that's hurt. And the first thing she said is, oh, great, another broken white boy to fix. Which is funny because, if you watch the end of Civil War, you see that they put Bucky under ice.
And then in the after credit scene, it's her talking to Bucky, so it's obvious that's who she meant. Right, that's who she meant. Yep. It was, that ends up being pretty funny.
I like those things that, for people who really enjoy this universe.
Yeah.
When there's, you guys, I totally know you do, and so, you're able to connect those moments. I love being that guy in the theater that, gets excited about a moment, and everybody else is like, what's so funny about this? And it's just it kills me when people aren't connected to it.
But the other thing about some of those origin films is that, especially Ant-Man, one of your favorites.
Yes.
It's funny because the best part about that, I'm so sorry about that.
What is that?
It's my phone and I feel so bad. I'm turning it off.
Well, Ghost Jockey will be taking a hiatus.
Ghost Jockey's taking a hiatus with his silly phone.
No, what are we talking about? Sorry about that.
Panther and Shuri and...
It's a game.
Anywho.
Now his phone has broken the monotony, folks. So,
hey, that helps. Maybe
there we go.
I'm really sorry.
No, it's all right. No, it's you're fine.
Would you recommend it for one?
Yes.
Yeah, I would recommend it.
Okay.
Yeah, I would.
Out of the whole, knowing what's coming up with the whole Marvel universe, looking forward to, of course, Infinity War.
Yeah, certainly.
Do you feel, with the storyline not so connected to the Marvel Universe story as all the others have been, is Black Panther going to have a big role in Infinity War?
Oh, I think so. Definitely.
Gargantuan. You can tell that just by the trailer.
Yeah, and the way that they so in the film, in the Black Panther movie, one other thing we probably ought to talk about kind of quickly, is that the 5 tribes don't all gel, right? So there's 5 tribes, 4 of them all agreed to live under the rule of the king, of the Black Panther king, and then the 5th tribe was not down, so they went to the mountains and lived separately.
They're isolationists, basically.
They're the isolationists. They're out of the Wakandan isolationists, ironically enough. Well, by the end of the movie, they're all together and they're back with T'Challa, and they come. All 5 tribes are together,
Okay,
so they're completely united. And I firmly believe that because there's an army there, they're going to have to be involved, and they're in the trailer for sure.
You do see the Outrider invade.
Cap and Bucky and them are leading what looks like a big Wakandan army.
The Outriders ships come down and all those troops are Outriders.
Right.
You see them flooding out to fight the Wakandans, and you see that iconic shot of them all running through the jungle and Hulk and
right, definitely.
So that you get a feeling that that's going to actually might be maybe the end battle for the first event.
Maybe.
I hate to say the first Infinity War because they're changing titles, but
right.
Avengers, Infinity War, that might be the end battle, or one of the end battle sequences will be in Wakanda. So Wakanda plays a big role, and this is a good introduction.
Yeah.
Not only the characters, because a lot of these characters are going to reappear. We've seen them in the trailer.
Right.
But also the culture and the setting, because it's going to play a bigger role.
Oh, for sure.
Much like Spider-Man kind of introduced just to New York a little bit, even more than after Avengers, the first Avengers film. This introduces us to Wakanda, and it's gonna play a role. Yeah,
I would agree with that. Cool. I definitely think it will. And then it's a good movie. It's a little long, but it's a good movie.
And if you read the reviews, you're going to see a lot of online reviews saying, "Oh, it's the greatest Marvel film ever. It's made $300 million its first week."
And that's awesome. And there's nothing wrong with it. But obviously, movies that make the most money don't necessarily mean they're great.
I don't look at.
I like Hot Toys figure.
Yeah, I like to look at the money that movies make just for fun. We always like to track movies just for fun and see how much they make. Sure. In the reviews, but this one, it's fun. Is it the best Marvel film ever? No. It's a good origin film.
I agree. It's not.
It's a good origin film.
It is good. It's a good origin film.
It's a good film.
And there's some cool action.
And there's great sequence. And like I said, it's probably the best acted origin film.
I would agree with that. I mean,
and the cast is dynamic.
The cast is excellent.
For me, here we go, folks. For me in movies, I find that if my expectations are very tempered and low, that I tend to come out happier rather than when I really expect the movie to be up here. I didn't necessarily expect this movie to be amazing, although I did think, okay, obviously it's going to stand on its own 2 feet because I haven't heard anything that said, oh, it stinks or anything along the way. Whereas usually we'll hear at least one person say, oh, this movie wasn't any good, or I didn't like this or that or the other. The only thing I'd heard was that it is a little slow in the middle, and it was a little bit slow, I thought, in the middle, but it didn't like take me out of the movie. Yeah,
it
didn't grind to a halt. Right? No, it did not grind to a halt in any way. But it's not the best. Yeah, no, it's not the best. I mean, let's just real quick. We'll start with Bad Jockey. Where would you rank? What's your top? And we're gonna limit it at 3, which is gonna kill Ghost over here. But what's your top 3 Marvel movies out of the MCU movies?
Oh gosh. Well, again, I said Ant-Man.
Yeah, so
I
we got
really
Ant-Man.
enjoy Paul Rudd. He's a local boy.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
So and taking his comedy, but then still putting the serious role to it. Michael Douglas.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait for Ant-Man and the Wasp. So
I finally saw that trailer.
Yeah, I'll say that. Captain America.
Which one?
The first one.
First Avenger, very good movie.
First Avenger,
excellent movie,
amazing movie, and Iron Man, the first Iron Man.
Okay, cool.
Was great.
So you basically have 3 origin movies in there. Okay, cool.
I'm an origin movie guy.
Yeah, fair enough.
I think
okay, so Ghost.
We're talking best or favorite. There's a difference.
Your top 3.
Okay,
what you think the top 3? Let's say, and let's not say favorite. Let's say best.
The best Marvel film made in the MCU overall is still, to me, Winter Soldier.
Okay, so Winter Soldier.
Winter Soldier is probably the best one made.
Okay.
Number 2 obviously Avengers, the first Avengers
Okay,
film.
first Avengers movie.
And then 3,
Also the first
Guardian-
Avengers film.
don't laugh, because y'all gonna make fun of me, because everybody knows my favorite Marvel film is Avengers
Age of Ultron, right? Yeah, we know that.
Guys, I can't wait to get hacked over that one. Number 3, though, is Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah. And I would agree
Yes.
with, I mean, Guardians is an awesome movie, but I still
Yeah.
put that on, like, its own whole thing.
I just think
Yeah,
those are the 3 best made.
Since it's an MCU, I got to count it in there, though.
It
Yeah,
is.
I
You
mean,
are
it is
correct,
definitely
yeah.
different, but that's why I would rank it number 1. So for me, it's Guardians of the Galaxy, and Winter Soldier, because it's just such a great spy intrigue movie, even without the superhero aspect. I mean,
Just
they
like
do.
espionage
just
element
Yeah, it's
to
just
it.
great.
Just
It's
like Dark Knight is a great movie if you take Batman out of it, because it's a good detective.
We're
crime
slurping
movie.
Marvel, folks. I still would say Dark Knight's the best comic book movie ever made.
It is
I
still
would
the
still
best
say
in
that.
my opinion.
I would still say it.
If you take Captain America and you take the costumes out of Winter Soldier, it's still a great
Yeah,
political drama.
sure, yeah.
It's like a
That-
spy movie.
That scene, I mean, I maintain, and obviously it's my opinion, and everybody has a varying opinion, but I maintain that scene where Nick Fury gets cornered by those cops and they start doing the crazy
chase.
battering ram on his window and then the car chase
Yeah.
is one of the best sequences they have ever had in one of those MCU movies.
Yeah.
It's just so exhilarating. You're like, whoa, it comes out of nowhere, and then it's just go, 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 and
you know what really helps
wow.
that scene is that.
and then Winter Soldier appears at the end. Yeah.
I have that feeling that about 99% of that scene was practical effect shot. Which
Yeah,
helps that
I
movie.
agree.
agree.
I would agree.
I think that doing practical effects, I think people have learned now from the George Lucas prequels is that you can go back to you can still make a great
Green
movie.
screens only go so far,
Green
folks.
screen only goes so
Yeah.
far. Green screen is not your lead. Green screen is an add-on,
Right,
not your lead.
right.
And I think the great thing about that one is it's practical effects. I
Yeah.
think that's what makes it so good is that it could almost really happen. And
Yeah,
that's
I would
the
agree.
great thing that can, like Dark Knight, and that's what the great thing about those two films is you take the superhero out of that film
Mhm.
and you take the costumes out of that film.
And it's a good crime drama
It's still a crime
yeah,
drama.
exactly.
Dark Knight and a straight political
Mhm.
thriller spy film
Mhm.
for Captain America.
Agreed.
And that's why I think those are the 2 best comic book films.
And then my third Marvel movie would be Civil War. And I there's a time when I would have for sure said Avengers, but I felt like Civil War is a better, and I hate to say this, Ghost, but a better Avengers 2 than Age of Ultron was. So I just and the conflict with
consider-
Tony
You can't put me
and
next to him
I-
and say Age of Ultron is a
I-
good movie. It's dangerous.
I consider Civil War to really be Avengers 3. I mean, most.
yeah, and yeah, you're in a lot of
It
ways,
really
yeah,
is.
definitely. I mean, at least 2.5.
But here's a good question. Speaking of movies like now that we have trilogies for Captain America and Nolan Dark Knight
Mhm.
as a whole,
Mhm.
which trilogy's better?
Batman.
Wait, which trilogy? Wait, say that
Dark
again.
Knight trilogy, Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy, or just the Captain America trilogy from MCU. Better as a whole.
Man, that's a
Nolan
good.
does
That's
no
a
wrong.
good. That's a good question.
Really, Dark Knight.
Well, Dark Knight
Returns-
Rises is
Dark Knight
pretty.
Rises-
Dark
It's
Knight
pretty
Returns,
poopy.
yeah.
Dark
Dark Knight
Rises-
Returns is not
No,
Nolan and
no,
is brilliant.
but Dark
Dark Knight Rises is
has-
kind
does
of. It's
have
got some
holes.
poop. It's got some poop in it.
They all have holes in
Oh,
it.
see, I think Begins and Dark Knight are
Begins
fairly
is
hole free.
amazing.
There's one hole in Dark Knight, and all right, we sketched out where we were gonna go, and this is uncharted territory, but we're going there anyway. There's one hole in the Dark Knight that is just glaring, and it is terrible. And I hate to even mention it because it is still the best comic book movie ever, in my opinion, and my favorite comic book movie overall. Okay, so the Joker shows up at Bruce Wayne's party,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And
I
he
know
comes
we
in the
know this
elevator,
already.
and I'm sure anybody watching probably knows too.
Yeah.
He comes in the elevator and invades the party, and it's a pretty tense scene, and they fight, and then he throws Rachel out the window, and Batman goes out after him, and they're in a high-rise building, and now obviously I would assume there's maybe a fire escape or a back exit, maybe not, right? And he goes out the window. They're literally right in front of the building. So where do the Joker and all his henchmen go after
All the
that?
henchmen go, well, they're gone. I guess we'll leave.
Yeah, we're gonna have Horse Divorce now that Batman's out of here, and he's not gonna go back up after him. Was Batman just gonna leave her on the street and then just not go after them? I mean, that's a hole.
So to piggyback on
That's a
that,
hole. That's a
because,
hole.
I'm totally moving
That's a hole.
right now.
All right, we're getting real Klein action.
Yeah, the other hole
Relaxing,
is
yes.
in that exact same scene
Uh huh.
where the Joker's holding Rachel,
Uh huh.
and he's like little fighting you.
Yeah.
When Batman pulls his whole then you're gonna love me.
Yeah.
I was like, how come none of the Joker's crew was like, Batman's right behind you? Like he literally just came out of nowhere. If any of you realize that moment.
I did not think about that at all. That's an excellent point.
Who didn't tell
I mean,
me
he wasn't
Batman
hiding behind Bob Smith in a tux and okay.
That's what I'm saying.
And how about this? Now, so the two people that were screwing in his bed when he goes to the panic room to go change too, would he have not come back out of there? And would they have not seen Batman come back out too? That's a good point.
I'm guessing. I mean, there's so many.
Certainly,
Go to the panic room.
there is.
You're telling me he's got a bat suit in the panic room?
Well, I guess
when in Rises, he had to go all the way back to the bat bunker. To
Yeah,
get a new suit. So
Okay, so I guess. All right, I've talked myself into a corner, and now I'm going to have to say that the Captain America trilogy is probably the best trilogy because there's so many holes in the trilogy that I would have said didn't have them except for the third movie. I mean, I would have said that my least favorite Captain America movie is First Avenger. While I like it, and I have no problems with it, out of the 3 Captain America movies, I like the other 2 better. So I would have said, okay, you take that and you go against Dark Knight Rises, and they subtract each other out, and you have Begins and Dark Knight, which are great, and then you have Winter Soldier, and you have Civil War, which are great, and it's pretty equal. But now that we've poked holes in Dark Knight, which I still would say is the best comic book movie that has Swiss cheese holes in it now, maybe Captain America, maybe they're still equal. I mean, there's holes in Captain America too, I'm sure, but...
Any holes in Captain America?
Yeah, where's our holes in Captain America? What holes would we have in
One
that?
of our experts just arrived.
Yes. We have our Jockey, who is not on camera, folks, but has entered the Wax Plastica set. So, yeah, I mean,
He's a hard-working man.
I don't know about a lot of holes in Captain America, really. I mean, I'm trying to think, and
I'm sure you know what you watch those honest trailers on YouTube and they get
yeah, that's true. That's true.
Because they'll poke holes in there. I think the one for Batman versus Superman was 20 minutes long. Because
Yeah.
they picked that many holes. Or mistakes. They show mistakes or honest trailers or whatever. There's
Right.
always ones.
Right.
I got to say Captain America as well.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, honestly, it's...
I mean, you're taking leaps when believing in a super serum and things of that nature, but it's a comic book, so you know what I'm saying? You're going to suspend your disbelief to a certain degree, and there's a supernatural element to Cap that isn't there with Batman.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. Which one's better? I'm going to go with where I was originally. You cancel out the first Cap with the third Batman, and it's pretty equal.
The great thing is, when we can have these discussions now.
What do you guys think?
We are getting movies like this now. This is a kind of a gold.
Well, these discussions, what we're doing here is we're writing the gospel, right, of the actual of what's going on with these comic book movies. I mean, this is the gospel here, folks, right? I mean, who doesn't think that the Dark Knight trilogy is, among the best?
Yeah.
Who doesn't think that The Dark Knight is at least top 3 best comic book movies ever made? I mean, and there's a series, a comic book series that often is overlooked because of so many that are made now that are good, and then some that aren't. But there's so many good ones. Is the original Superman movie?
Yeah, the Richard Donner.
Actually, it's Superman 2, the Donner cut.
The Donner cut is amazing because Zod is
Yeah.
so great in those, and he's so much better than he was in Man of Steel. I mean, not that he's not.
Shannon did a good job, but it's not Terrence Stamp.
No, it's not at all. No, definitely not. I mean,
And there's a great hour-long interview out there on YouTube of
really,
Richard Donner talking to Christopher Nolan.
oh,
And they're discussing
wow,
their approaches to each of their superheroes.
that would be pretty interesting.
And there's so much respect from Nolan to Donner. It's an awesome.
That's cool.
I will
That's
say
neat.
one thing about
That would be really cool.
Donner is, as a kid growing up, back before VHS, I'm old, and you're not too far
Before
behind.
VHS?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
On Sunday nights,
VHS, I'm a
ABC
Blu-ray guy, folks.
On
All
Sunday
Blu-ray.
nights on ABC, they would always do the movie of the week, and about twice a year they would do Superman, the original Superman.
Yeah.
I remember seeing this doing
And I remember that you would sit there as a kid, and that just was just awesome.
Yeah, it was.
And Reeve was just a great.
To this day, he's still the best one, I say.
I can't think of,
I mean, Cavill's not bad, but
Cavill's done a good job. Can't blame the mustache on him.
well, no, certainly not.
But Cal does a
crappy
good job.
effects. You can't blame the crappy effects on the
Well,
mustache.
I'm gonna throw this out. I gotta go.
Okay.
However, I'm shaking your hand.
Oh, fine.
This is actually a really good topic, and Visit Jockey over here, or whatever we're gonna call him, big Superman fan.
Yeah.
So I think this could be another good topic for next time.
Okay. Cool.
So,
Good deal.
let you guys stick to what you're rolling there. There's still a lot of cool stuff to go over.
No.
So sorry I have to leave early.
Yeah, Bat Jockey's got a bail on us now. So.
So Mrs. Bat Jockey just said hi.
Mrs. Bad Jockey will say hi to everybody.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
All right. Well, cool.
Good
Thank you
seeing
for
you,
joining
man.
us, and you are welcome to come
Bat
back for
Jockey.
future episodes, please.
What's up?
You forgot a pink.
Huh?
Oh, here.
Oh, yeah.
Hold on. Let me get you your.
In my group.
Your construction piece. All right.
Speaking of great movie trilogies and movies in general,
Yeah.
let's discuss which many like people your and my age's movie trilogy, which would be Star Wars.
Oh boy. All right. This is a
This is where it
potentially
gets fun.
nuclear topic, folks. Warning. Full
this is gonna
disclosure
get
warning
fun.
here. Nuclear topic, because
Let's,
Last Jedi is. I'm
Yeah.
assuming where we're going.
we are going episode 8.
Very divisive topic amongst the fans out there.
Let's just in general.
Okay.
I mean,
So,
we're both gonna agree. First off, neither one of us liked the film.
that is. We are
We're both in
we are in
agreement.
100% agreement
And
that
this is
neither one
not-
of us liked the
This
film.
is not OT purists talking because we're both fans of episode 3.
And actually, in general, my distaste, we'll say, for the Disney Star Wars trilogy, because we're not counting the standalone film Rogue One amongst that, but my distaste for that has made me actually appreciate the prequel movies a little bit more, even though I 100% acknowledge and understand their shortcomings. I mean, the acting is not great, and the scripts are not very good, and for the most
funny
part,
because the actual story themselves is actually not bad.
it's not bad. But one of the things, and we've talked about this. And anybody watching, I can't see a chat, which I apologize if you're chatting us up. Thank you. Unfortunately, I cannot look at it, which I guess it's my bad. Hopefully, Jockey31's moderating our chat over there here for us. She's maybe taking a peek at it. And the prequel movies have this problem that Lucas started, and he started them with the prequel movies. He didn't do this with the original movies, so I guess this is where I would become a classic trilogy purist, is that he didn't do this. He stopped giving you all the details in the movies with the prequels so that there was more books and comics that would be in between to sell you more ancillary materials.
This is agreement with Dark Horse and Bantam
Sure,
Books,
sure.
which actually he started 8 years prior when
When there were no movies, when there were no movies.
Because the Heir of the Empire came out in
Right.
May of '91, I think is what it was, because I remember reading it.
Which is no longer canon, let me remind everyone.
Legends. Anyway, hush. He started, to get, I don't know, they won, they had to capitalize off the name.
Sure. I mean,
So
and
that's
he had to keep it
story.
going somehow, right?
So Dark Horse gets the comics, which I had every Dark Horse comic and I had every Bantam book until Disney bought Lucas.
And there's some really good stories out there for those,
I tell you
for
what,
sure.
there are stories, especially some of the Clone Wars storyline, that were better than a couple of the movies.
Yeah, and I would agree. The decision, though, to shortchange what you get in the movies so that they give you more details in those is poop, in my opinion. I just don't like that.
I'm going to agree with you, but I'm also going to play a little bit of devil's advocate in the fact that some of the storylines
Keep talking. Keep talking.
a little, I think, were far more complex, and they introduced far more characters.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Lucas wanted to, give everybody the backstory on every little character.
Yeah.
Now, he was able to do that with the classic trilogy 10 years later.
Yeah, that's true.
Through EU.
That's true. He was. I mean, you didn't get all the backstory in the movies, I guess, with the classic trilogy, but it just seemed like more happened in those movies.
The main story, the main things that happened in the prequels should have been explained in the movies. Everything in classic trilogy is explained in the movie. in the 3 movies.
Yeah,
Any
it really
universe
is. That's true.
That revolves around
Came later and was just to flesh it out, but didn't.
I think the biggest example of the class, anything that happens between episode 4 and 6,
Yeah.
the biggest one, Shadows of the Empire.
Yeah.
We really don't need to know how Boba Fett got Han Solo to Jabba the Hutt or how Luke made his lightsaber.
True.
But it's just something to give. It gives them something to do with the characters and gives you more story with them.
And certainly they're not uninteresting details,
No.
but they don't make or break the story.
No, and you can't go into Return of the Jedi saying, "Well, I didn't know Luke was with Dash Rendar. This screws up." It's not necessary to enjoy Return of the Jedi.
And part of why I think maybe we're psychoanalyzing this here a little bit, but part of why I guess I feel that way about the prequels is because he didn't tell the story in an engaging way. I mean, the Jedi, you expect these Jedi guys to be so cool and have all this great stuff, and yet they're, like my now favorite character who was ruined in Last Jedi says, at the height of their power, they allow themselves to be completely infiltrated by Darth Sidious and get fooled into giving up everything. And they do. So they're portrayed as arrogant and fairly inept in that way, and it then made for an uninteresting set of protagonists for these movies, and then you want to know, well, okay, what about this alien guy because he looks cool, and what about that alien guy? But they were never going to make it about that, and it just then you have the I hate to say it still, the poor acting. You will try when the poor acting from Anakin, and who's supposed to carry it all. And that's where the downfall of the prequels is. However, it still has the tenets of Star Wars: destiny, overcoming adversity, good versus evil. And you get some. You didn't get a lot of backstory in the movies about Palpatine, which is kind of disappointing because the
only way, and the bad thing is, the only way you get it is if you read the daggum book.
Right, exactly, right. And that's what I'm saying. You don't get a lot in the movie about it, right? And you'd have to go dig, in fact, to find that his first name was Sheev Palpatine. Sheev Palpatine. So, in case you didn't know that, anybody out there watching, Sheev.
Is that the Plagueis book you learned that?
Yeah, I believe it is the Plagueis book. Yeah, and
I think another thing with the prequels, not as much in episode 3, but 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Is the special effects became the story and not the story.
Yes, exactly. It was not the film. It was these effects are going to make everybody go ooh and ah, and there's lightsabers and there's going to be space explosions, and that's going to be the thing that'll do it.
Episodes 4, 5, and 6 is the special effects were used along with the story.
Mm-hmm.
It was to help
right.
with the story. It wasn't the story itself. The story itself in 4, 5, and 6 was Luke's maturation, Han and Leia's relationship, stuff like that.
The effects were limited too, so they couldn't be the whole thing.
For the time, walking into a theater watching Empire.
Oh, very cutting edge stuff.
You
sure.
remember walking out of that theater, the asteroid sequence.
Oh yeah, you're like, wow, yeah.
Blew you away, and then you now look at it, and even with the Blu-ray upgrades, it looks better. Good still, but
I thought the Bespin special edition upgrades were pretty cool.
And even with the Blu-ray upgrades too.
Yeah,
it makes the pictures great.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
But episodes 1 and 2 concentrated to we want to make Jar Jar Binks the first CGI character, and
yeah,
we can go all day long about Jar Jar Binks haters from 1999, but it's a moot point now. Oh. Is that they really concentrate, stuff like that. Let's concentrate on making a CGI character instead of making a character who's got depth,
right? Who's
also CGI,
right.
Instead of a CGI character.
Yes, that ends up having no depth and is annoying and very lame. But yet, the funny part about that is, I look at it now and I would rather watch him than I would my favorite character from the entire saga in his last hurrah. I would rather watch the Jar Jar Binks movie than I would the Return of Luke Skywalker show. It's so weird
took a turn
to feel that way.
When he lit the lightsaber up on Ben Solo at the Jedi Temple in the effort term, I said, that was the point. I said, wow, Fonzie jumped the shark.
Yeah,
I really did.
That's
because to me,
the linchpin
the character
for me too.
In 5 and 6 and his journey.
Yep.
Especially with 6 trying to redeem his own father.
Yep.
You figured he could have a little patience with his nephew if his dad cut his hand off and he still loved him.
Well,
and try to redeem him. Why wouldn't you try to redeem your own nephew if you can redeem your father?
And folks, here's the problem with what we were talking about, how they don't give you the details, they don't give you the goods, and these Disney ones are even worse about it. If they would have at least in the movie potentially shown you some of what maybe Ben Solo was seeing, right? Or what Snoke was doing to him, what were the visions, what was the implication, the impact on him, anything, then maybe you could buy into that. But my whole thing, and it's I just keep coming back to this, and I come back to this, and I read opinion articles, and I read explanations from the director, which is another thing that I think is pathetic. If your movie was really that good, do you have to explain it in all of these articles after the fact so that you can explain why you did this and why Leia looks like Mary Poppins and why she just needed an umbrella and she's flying?
Talking about the last trilogy, we're talking about Dark Knight versus Captain America.
Right.
At no point did I have to walk out of any of those 6 movies and go, wish the director would tell me why this happened.
Yep.
I can figure it out by
watching the movie, these Disney ones, they're giving you even less of that. So I'm supposed to believe that I've seen this character who started as farm boy whiny, baby in episode 3 to farm boy whiny guy, 18-year-old in episode 4, New Hope, whatever you want to call it, and he goes through his earned journey to Jedi Master at the end of Return of the Jedi. It is earned. He goes through trials, he fails, he goes through tribulations, he fails, he then overcomes, almost fails again, and then really overcomes. And then you're gonna purport on me that he's left with his father does not make it. He redeems him, but he does not live. So then you're going to tell me that he's left with his sister and his best friend, and that's what he's left with at the end of the original trilogy, and that he's going to murder his sister and best friend's only kid over a vision that you won't show us in this movie, and I'm supposed to believe that. And will he be tempted by the dark side? Yeah, I understand that that's what the director's saying.
Luke touched the dark side in Jedi when he was fighting.
Exactly right, and he came back from it, and yes, okay, he didn't kill Kylo, right, or Ben or whatever. So I guess he sort of came back from that too. He realized it, and that's why he's in hiding and and the shame and the get off my lawn and all that. It just I cannot wrap my head around that he is going to get to that, and why can't you show me in the movie why we're going to get to that so that I might be able to believe it?
Well, I honestly think it shouldn't have came to that point because you have 2 different directors for the first 2 films.
Right.
And I don't think either one of them, if you watch episode 8,
yeah,
I have no idea if this is the Lost problem.
Lost.
Okay, this is the Lost problem. You have a beginning. You have an end.
Yeah.
Plan your end when you have the beginning.
Sure.
Do not make it up as you go along.
Yeah.
You'll have Lost, or you'll have even worse.
A writer's strike, and then you screw that. No.
You'll have the X-Files ending, which Chris Carter even said back in the day, I didn't know how it was going to end. You don't do that. What you do is you plan a beginning, like Lucas did, even though it wasn't the best vision, you plan a beginning, you plan your ending, and you go from point A to point B, sharing the story of the trials and tribulations along the way. But you have a plan.
Yeah, you gotta have.
Where you're going.
Yeah, and maybe not every detail, but you have to have a framework at least, right?
And they've even said, and I don't know if it was Johnson or Abrams said, "Well, we never talked."
Exactly. Yeah, they only talked about one thing.
Mm-hmm. And episode 8 feels like an ending to a saga.
In a lot of ways, it does. It really does.
Really, I mean, you kill off Snoke.
Yeah, and killing him off doesn't have to be so bad.
Kill off a character you have no history about.
But you've now made him so anticlimactic, and now it's like we didn't even find out what his name was.
The 2 masters, Snoke and Skywalker.
Yes.
And you're left with the ending where it's Kylo's got a hold of the First Order, and everybody left from the Resistance is sitting in the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah, which is 4 people.
Well, yeah.
4 people.
9 Numb, a couple humans.
Yeah, 4 people.
And here's the
Wait, no, I thought 9 Numb died too.
No, 9 Numb's at the end of the movie.
Is he? I thought he was dead too.
Akbar floated, remember?
Well, yeah, I know Akbar got the float, and they didn't even say anything about that.
9 Numb is apparently Wedge for this trilogy.
Okay.
So he's going to be the pilot that survives everything.
See, and then back to Lost for a minute. I'm a little disappointed that they didn't find a way to put Snap Wexley back in this movie, because Greg Grunberg is your Lost alum, and he has to be in everything that Abrams ever touched, and I realize he didn't make The Last Jedi, but he didn't die in Force Awakens, so why wouldn't he have been there?
Episode 8 feels like it could have been Episode 9.
It does.
No, that.
Well, and knowing Fisher's not going to be back in
well,
9/2.
The kid at the end of the movie, it feels
such
like
a shame.
the start of a new saga when they show him watching the shooting star.
Oh, the Broom Boy, our new antagonist,
yeah.
Broom Boy, folks. You guys like
Even
that?
worse,
Broom Boy.
and this is the biggest missed opportunity for this entire trilogy.
Yeah.
At no point would you have Han, Leia, and Luke on screen together, even for one scene.
Golf clap for you,
That
sir.
is
Yes.
one thing I guarantee
That's
you.
the worst missed
any
opportunity ever.
Hardcore Star Wars fan.
Yep.
That's what they know.
Yep.
Han, Leia, Luke, Chewie, R2. The big. You can go big three, but you can include Chewie and
If you're watching right now, if anybody is watching right now, and you are a fan of the original trilogy, are you not interested in seeing the big three on screen together, even for like a 30-second flashback, if nothing else? I mean, I do not. I mean, I realize nobody knew that Carrie Fisher was going to pass away, so obviously, I mean, nobody could have. It's terrible. It's obviously a serious.
It's a blow to our childhood as well.
Sure, and right, of course, and it's a terrible thing that she died the way she did too. But nobody knew that was coming. But still, even without that, they killed Harrison Ford's character in the first of the trilogy. So, no, I mean, where was the... Well, maybe we ought to have a flashback shot, of the three of them together. Or, and I suppose it's not entirely impossible that they filmed one and they're saving it from 9. Well, yeah, but they have sworn, and they have repeatedly sworn that they will not do a digital Carrie Fisher for 9. So she's going to have to be killed in the crawl, which then means if there's no ghost Luke...
on screen with they can work, I'm sure they can do it on
screen. Maybe.
It'd be a ship exploding.
Somehow, yeah.
It's going to be very anticlimactic and not very dramatic.
I think she'll succumb to injuries from her space exposure.
Which, honestly, when you watch that movie, it almost would have been better in certain ways if that's how she would have come.
If they just can find a way to say that a spoonful of sugar did not help the medicine go down in the crawl for 9, then I was... Leia Poppins, folks. I can't get over the Leia Poppins.
I'm Mary Poppins, y'all.
Yes. Yes.
Stole it from Disney. No, I'm kidding.
He said... It's Disney anyway! And then in Black Panther, they had the line where, at the end... Where Panther takes the sister to California, and she goes, "The least you could have done was take me to Disneyland." Like, wow, they had to throw that in there. Nice product plug.
Things that we said.
Yeah.
There are parts of this movie, which one sequence in particular is probably, or two. One's definitely probably the best of any of the 8 films, and that's the lightsaber duel.
It's a good duel. It is a good lightsaber fight.
Technically. And just visually, that is probably the coolest of the 8 movie, the 1 through 8 movie lightsaber duels.
The end result is anticlimactic, but the fight and the choreography of the fight itself is very good. I
fact
agree.
that you take, I thought this is very fitting, Luke's lightsaber, which was Anakin's lightsaber as far back as Episode 2. And it's gone because they blew it up.
Right.
They blew up something from the original.
Yeah, they did blow it up. Yeah. Well, that's just another. Well, but that's That's another metaphoric, another way to get rid of the Skywalkers. No more Skywalkers because Rey's parents had to dump her for beer money, folks. Yay! What a great conceit.
Hey, I got a 9-year-old and I'd do it for half that. So let's not. We can't go all. I'm just playing.
And we're gonna sign off abruptly.
DFS.
I hope you enjoyed watching. Ghost Jockey, because he'll never be returning to the show. Thank you, folks. Alrighty, we'll be replacing Ghost Jockey after these brief words.
Bumps.
Yeah, wow. Alright.
No, but as a whole, there was no story. There was no plan for this story.
Well, and to say there's no plan, I mean, they've said that now, right?
There's been no plan.
No overarching plan for it.
Even if there was a plan, it was very poorly executed.
And was a serious rough framework, too,
yes.
clearly.
And the characters that you have... Han Solo from 6 to 7 is very believable. Carrie Fisher is very believable. Mark Hamill's character from 6 to 8.
Well, I mean,
his character takes a. I know it's cyclical because he becomes the Jedi Master. But I don't isolated like Yoda was on Dagobah.
Yeah. But I also think that a lot of the way that was handled was really poor too.
The reason why it doesn't work for me.
He's going to. Yeah, the reason why, I can't buy the conceit that he would murder that kid. I just can't. And what's interesting is that a majority, we'll say, of Star Wars fanboys, I'll say it, I'm a fanboy, folks, whatever. The majority of Star Wars fanboys do not like The Last Jedi because of, in large part, to what happened to Luke. I mean, now, you can also add in the fact that you had the most boring space chase in the history of sci-fi cinema.
Longest one, too, at 18 hours.
There's that. And then you have the ham-fisted comedy at almost every turn, not every moment, but every turn. I mean, General Hugs. Yeah, General Hugs.
No.
I'll hold for General Hugs. I mean,
or the fact that two of your big three from the new trilogy served no freaking role in this film other than filler until the Battle of Crate at the end.
Well, and then and then once you find out that Poe finds out the plan, their entire plot line is completely worthless and served no purpose in the movie whatsoever.
Rose and Finn.
Other than to introduce Broom Boy.
Yeah. And, oh great, let's ride some wolves through a casino. That's always fun.
Well, I mean, and I know that was their political
let's
play.
Slaves like
except folks, let's just remember. All they freed was the animals. They didn't free the kids. The kids were still stuck, so they didn't free the slaves. They freed the cool, rare horse animal things.
It served no purpose.
Yeah.
But now I said the lightsaber was one part of the film. The other sequence was Holdo taking the Mon Cal cruiser.
Yeah, that actual scene where the cruiser blows up.
I think it's funny that they had to send out a memo telling people in the
that
audience
the sound was not broken.
The sound was not broken.
Yes.
Which I figured that out as soon as I'm watching it due to dramatic effect.
That did
the fact
happen.
that you have to explain that to people. It's a little funny.
Is funny.
But that's a cool sequence when they're on there. But
Agreed.
then again, you have Darth Maul and Boba Fett's younger sister, Captain Phasma, which is basically the cool-looking character that serves really no purpose.
Yeah, she doesn't really end up
the
doing
only cool thing about it, the fact
anything in this movie.
We find the chrome armor is good for deflecting blaster bolts. Okay, that's kind of neat.
But, here's an interesting fact about the chrome armor, right? Do you know where the chrome armor originated? Okay, I do, because I happen to catch this tidbit from a comic book, of course, folks. Once again, the Disney way. It is. Wolverine's adamantium claws, because they threw that in there at the last minute since they knew they were going to buy Fox.
It
is the leftovers from Sheev Palpatine's Naboo cruiser.
Really? The one from episode 1?
It's the armor. That's the armor that you never saw, but it's Sheev Palpatine's Naboo cruiser, and she took the panels of armor from it and made her armor out of that. That is where her chrome armor comes from, is his old ship from Naboo. Cool, nice connection to the prequels, but we won't ever see it in the movie, which is another way they could have made the prequels cooler, by the way.
Other than those two parts, no. I mean, the Rey-Luke lightsaber duel was fine, was far too short, and
the Rey-Luke lightsaber.
Not Rey. The Kylo Ren Luke. Sorry.
Oh, that's not a duel. That's an aversion to a duel. That doesn't count.
Other than that, no.
All he does is dodge a couple times.
The biggest shame about 7
and get stabbed in the chest.
And way Disney bought this is the fact that the Star Wars story movies are going to be better than the numbered movies from Disney.
It appears that way. I mean, we don't know with Solo yet, right? And I would say that most people, myself included, were pretty worried about Solo. People were pretty worried. They waited a long time to release a trailer, but the trailer makes it look. Makes me want to see it. I mean, I don't expect The Dark Knight, but I do think it looks like it could be fun. I mean, if they have the Kessel Run in there, that's something I always would have, wanted to see what they might do with.
These Star Wars stories and go back to original trilogy era.
Yeah.
That's the part that's their saving grace, but at the same time, why is it that you can't? Why do you have to take old characters and old situations to make good movies when you should have made? You should have done farts.
I don't know.
You should have had a beginning, a middle, and an end planned out.
I agree. And it's funny, right? I mean, when Force Awakens came out, another full disclosure bit for everybody. When Force Awakens came out, I was a little angry with it, and I didn't love the movie. Number one, because I really wanted to see my favorite character, Luke Skywalker, kick some more butt. oh, cool. Well, we'll get that in this next one at the end of the movie at least, because you know that they're going to have him. Oh, wait, that's not what we got at all. He just says, "Get off my lawn," and then just doesn't do a damn thing.
Eats a bunch of chickens.
Yeah. Now, so I was a little disappointed with Force Awakens in that regard, because the story was, largely a rehash of Episode 4. And while I liked the new 3 characters that they came up with, I didn't feel like they gave them a new situation to be in, and I felt like they could have, because the characters were strong enough, right?
The characters were great. I liked the new characters.
Yeah, I thought it was too.
Right. There's nothing wrong with Rey. There's nothing wrong with Finn. They have all decent backstories.
And they introduced them well, and I thought that they gave them some... Finn's
a stormtrooper. That's a new dynamic we haven't seen before.
Sure, right?
Because the stormtroopers up to this for Clone Army, and they even mentioned it in Episode 7. Maybe we should have had a Clone Army.
Yeah. Too bad we probably won't ever find out anything about where he was taken from, or who he was, or why he woke up from being a stormtrooper and didn't want to do any of that, because that would be interesting. So we won't find that out.
Background was kind of interesting. Then we find out now.
Could have been. Now she's just got dumped for smokes and beer money, folks.
And Poe, which you have to read a comic to find out, his parents served with Leia on Yavin during the rebellion.
Well, they missed a huge opportunity with Poe in this movie. I mean, they make him this, reckless guy who costs all these people their lives with his, shenanigans, so to speak. And then it's just, what a scamp. I like him at the end. Hey, right, Leia? What a scamp he is.
Oh, jeez, guys.
Wink, wink. I like him because he's got a cute butt or whatever. I mean, it's just, what a terrible missed opportunity with that, too.
Honestly, and it's the first movie. If you watched Episode 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4 even, considering the 20-year gap, timeline-wise, 4 to 5, 5 to 6, I have no idea where they're going with 9 at all. I don't either. And you could guess a little bit. Everybody knew going from 2 to 3. You knew it was going to be Clone Wars related, and you knew everybody was going to die except for Obi-Wan, R2-3PO, Palpatine, and Vader. Right. Everybody was dead, pretty much.
At least at this point, though, I don't care. I mean, I'm so disappointed in what they gave me with Luke. I mean, you were talking about how you thought there were some good parts in the movie, and I agree with you. And what I think the parts of the movie that I enjoyed of Last Jedi were, I liked the bomber sequence, even though
that had some great tension to it.
It really did, and sadly, I liked Rose's sister who died in that sequence better than I liked Rose throughout the rest of the entire movie. I didn't really care for Rose, but I liked that opening sequence with the bombs. I enjoyed Luke and R2. I enjoyed Luke and Chewbacca for 20 seconds. I enjoyed Luke and the weird green milk scene because it was just so freaking weird. I enjoyed Luke and Yoda.
Drinking the blue milk.
Right. I enjoyed Luke and Yoda scene, even though I thought Yoda looked a little off.
But
he went puppet. They went puppet.
They
went puppet. But he looked puffy or something strange.
Maybe the ghost afterlife adds 10 pounds to you. I don't know.
Could it be? Hey, whatever. Maybe so.
I thought they did a decent job. At least, like you said, puppet Yoda.
Yeah. So I like that. I mean, I really did enjoy the Yoda scene quite a bit, and I liked the Luke and Leia scene as well. But here's another. What a terrible, stupid oversight. Luke gives Leia back Han's dice, but we cut the scene out of Force Awakens where Han puts the dice back in the Millennium Falcon. I'm like, that probably would have been a pretty important scene to have in there.
That one scene with them two reuniting when he goes, are you going to tell me I changed my hair? And he says, I like it. That's kind of sweet.
It's all right. It's all right. They just. It's like they didn't know what they needed to do with them.
It's no plan.
The no plan. And
I know they bought Disney bought Lucasfilm, 2013?
Was it 2012? I thought it was 2013. I mean, 2012 or 2013. I don't know.
Jockey, do you know? Okay.
No, he does not.
You should have good... Anyway. I'm just playing. But...
Please come and join us, Invisible Jockey. There's really no reason to not join our frame since you've now spoken in your disembodied voice now. We have disembodied Jockey.
They bought it 2012. I think it was actually 2013, to be honest.
Yeah, whatever.
Force Awakens came out in 2015.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, they really rushed Force Awakens. If this is the story they came out with.
And the funny thing is, if you listen to Abrams now, he was so afraid that the movie would tank. That's why they just regurgitated 4.
American film all time and third best worldwide.
And I maintain that given the quality of the characters that they gave us for the new main characters, they could have done something that was newer than, or a more original idea than what you got with Force Awakens. Now, people, I'm sure, I'm surprised I'm not seeing anything, maybe even in the chat room, saying, okay, smart guy, that's what you want, but then you got something new with Last Jedi and you hated it. Okay, well, I got something new, and I understand. I 100% understand Disney's desire and need to not always have a descendant of the Skywalkers be the lead character and driving the Force. And I mean, I get it. You got to move on from that. It can't always be a Skywalker.
That's why they're doing the new trilogy.
Right, and I understand. But why, oh why, do you have to make it, we're going to smash every piece of what the classic trilogy, Skywalker-based China, so to speak, is on the way to this new thing? I mean, I don't know. I mean, Last Jedi is definitely different. It doesn't feel like a lot like a Star Wars movie through most of it, but the comedy in a lot of it to me didn't work. I mean, one of the most potentially pivotal moments in your Star Wars saga is when Luke gets his dad's lightsaber back and he throws it over his shoulder, and it's a yuck moment.
And he hasn't seen it since Bespin. That's been 30 years in movie-wise.
Yeah, that's a yuck moment. I mean, they turned it into...
that was also the first introduction to a wider world he had in A New Hope. That was the first thing. After meeting Obi-Wan, that's the first thing he gets is that lightsaber.
Yeah, so there should be loads of memories, and then I just... I can't have those memories, so I'm just going to throw it.
Speaking of that lightsaber, is anybody going to tell me how Maz Kanata came up with that?
Oh, that's a great question for a comic book or a book.
Well, here even better. Is somebody going to explain to me Rey's vision for Episode 7?
Hey, is anybody going to explain to us the Knights of Ren? Or is anybody going to explain to us why the Empire can now, or the First Order can now track through hyperspace? All of those bits, it's a reference, but all of those bits are interesting, so we won't ever get any more information about any of them.
And, the problem is also, and if it seems like we're being a little overly critical...
Yeah, we just love it, folks. We just love it. It's what you grew up with, right? It's what we grew up with.
The classic trilogy is now 40 years old. When you let something...
All right, so I guess we've just dated everything. Yeah. Great. I'm at least 40 years old. Thank you. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Ghost Jockey.
No, I'm saying the classic trilogy is 40 years old. It was the 40th anniversary last year.
Yeah.
That sits in the hearts and minds of people for a very long time.
Sure.
And part of the problem as reviewing these movies and reviewing the prequels is we don't look through it through the eyes of children like we did the original trilogy. We look through it through the eyes of adults.
Of course.
That's
true. Yeah.
That being said, there's still something to be said for these movies that we still kind of, as kids...
Yeah.
This is something, this Star Wars is something, it's a worldwide phenomenon.
It is.
It's a worldwide... It's a cultural movement on its own. And it's a cultural movement that no other movie franchise before... and no other franchise since. Because you can't tell me any 40-year-old movie... It's lightning in a bottle. The whole thing is lightning in a bottle. And there's nobody you can ever tell me, tell me any movie franchise ever that's 40 years old that you could bring out now and it would make $900 million stateside. I agree. No, I agree with you. I 100% agree with you. But that's why you will see people talking about Star Wars online. Not just nerds... or fanboys, right? Normal people that you meet that watch these movies, and it's a cultural. These are part of your childhood, and how many friends we would never met if it wasn't for Star Wars. True, that's true. That is a very true story. That's true, and potentially I would have never met Invisible Jockey over here that won't join our frame, because if I wasn't into Star Wars, I may never have gotten into collecting action figures in the first place. Hence, I wouldn't have met a lot of these people. Even though I don't collect Star Wars anymore. Right. Star Wars is what got me into it. Sure. That's how I made a lot of friends, and that led to me doing Marvel, and that's how I met. Okay, but here's an interesting question, right? And anybody watching, feel free. I've got a chat room open here. I can see it. Feel free and pop something in there. Why is it that when we go see a Marvel movie now as an adult,
we come out of those movies and we're not like, well, they didn't do this right and they didn't do that right and they ripped this up and they ripped. Now, occasionally there's some bits that I'm like not so pleased with, right? I mean, like as an example, when I first saw Thor Ragnarok, I definitely didn't love it. I thought that the comedy was a little too forced and it felt like
Guardians 2.
Felt like a bit of a 180 from what the other Thor movies had been. So I just didn't really feel like it all felt. Now it's grown on me a little bit since then, but I remember going in thinking, oh, this is awesome because Planet Hulk is so cool and they're going to have all this Planet Hulk, and there's really only about this much Planet Hulk in that's actually really from Planet Hulk.
I think that has to do with the fact that when the MCU started in 2008, we did not have the emotional investment that maybe other MCU fans have, because we didn't read Marvel comics.
I did.
Did you read Marvel comics?
As a kid.
I see. As a kid growing up, I read G.I. Joe and Star Wars comics.
Okay, so I did. I did.
Backstory.
Yeah.
Also with the MCU, and this is going to debate, the MCU really, if you really technically think about the characters of the MCU, a lot of them are the B team of Marvel characters.
Well, yeah, because they sold all the hot ones off in the 90s when they were broke, right?
The X-Men in the 90s and early 2000s, if you weren't a mutant, or you didn't have, or Spider-Man,
yeah,
you really did not matter to Marvel a whole lot.
But quick poll, anybody watching? Yeah, anybody out there? What's better now as far as movie wise? Would you put X-Men above the MCU movies?
Yeah.
I absolutely not. I would absolutely not put them
X-Men
above the
films,
MCU.
probably Days of Futures Past or X-Men 2, whichever one you want to pick.
Yeah.
Maybe even Wolverine, I don't care, but
Maybe.
As far as MCUs, it's probably middle of the road to the bottom echelon, maybe,
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
I'll tell you
agreed.
right now, the worst Fox X-Men movie is garbage compared to the worst MCU film.
Yes.
And in all the MCU films, you say the worst, but honestly, every MCU film that's out there, I can watch decently and not have an issue with.
The only one that I would say that I wouldn't, the only one I would not gravitate to would be the worst one is.
Give me two worst MCU films.
Incredible Hulk and Iron Man 3.
See, mine's a little different. Mine is not Ragnarok, Dark World.
Yeah.
Dark World's.
That's in there. Yeah, that's
something's
something's bleeding now. Yeah.
Dark World and Incredible Hulk.
Yeah, and I mean Incredible. So we're aligned on Incredible Hulk. I just think Iron Man 3 is silly. I mean, there's an old saying in like TV shows and movies that when they bring the kid into the story, it's flagging, right? And of course, Iron Man 3. Oliver. DiCaprio on Growing Pains. Brian Bonsall on Family Ties.
Yeah, when you bring a kid into booster ratings, you're at the end of the road.
Which is why Superman Returns was doomed, because you brought the kid in the first movie. You shouldn't have had the kid in the first movie. You shouldn't have done that. That was a terrible mistake.
Well,
of course.
And that's why the MCU.
Maybe having that same director with any movie with a kid in it is probably not so good. We don't want to see him.
Let's stay out of that one.
We don't want him doing anything with any kids.
That's the great thing about the MCU is we're talking about why don't we look at that they are, for the most part, well-made films.
Yeah.
And the great thing that they did, and this is a little bit different than Star Wars. We talk about Star Wars having a beginning, middle, end.
Yeah.
Fahey said, I'm going to make a good movie first and then make it fit afterwards.
Right.
His concentration was, let's make a good film. I'll make it work.
They definitely they always had hooks for connective tissue, though. They were always thinking about that, obviously, which when you watch the DC movies, you don't get that. But why is it that we see that, and Star Wars could have exactly the same kind of stuff, and it could be... I mean, it's not made for... I do have the conceit that these Star Wars movies are not made for fans of our age. I don't think they are.
I think they want to pass it on to the next generation.
I definitely think they do, because
I have a child, and you have a child.
Sure.
And both of our kids are young, and they like BB-8, and they like Rey, and
they do,
which is fine. But my daughter...
And they like Finn.
And if you ask my daughter about Luke, Leia, and Han, they're like...
Now, my son is a little different in that, but I also... my disdain for the Disney Star Wars movies has rubbed off on him a bit. He likes Force Awakens still, and he likes BB-8 as a character quite a bit. I mean, I don't know if anybody can see. We have some BB-8s back here. He really likes BB-8, but Last Jedi, he doesn't even want to watch it.
Well, my daughter will only watch Last Jedi because of one thing, and my daughter's Porg crazy.
Okay.
So she loves porgs.
I actually, I expected to hate the porgs, and that's actually one of the things that I liked best about the movie.
I
I would
don't know.
say.
The best part of that movie,
On the whole,
the best sequence in that whole film may just be Chewie eating that porg like a
that was
chicken.
That was pretty good. That was comedy that worked, and then like the Leia saying, "Wipe that concerned look off your face" to 3PO. I laughed at that.
Was kind of funny.
But and then like when she says, "Well, I'm from nowhere," and Luke says, "Well, where are you from? I mean, where's nowhere?" And she says, "Oh, I'm from Jakku." Well, yeah, that's pretty much nowhere. I mean, I'm okay, but general hugs, I'll hold. I mean,
it was a lot of forced.
There's some cringy stuff.
So I got basically it's bad when the Star Wars stories, are going to outperform the Skywalker saga.
Yeah.
For the Disney films.
Yeah, they will.
And the Disneys seem like they're just destroying the Skywalker saga.
And I understand. Like I said, I understand the need to move on, but I don't understand the need to trash it.
You don't destroy
to steal Kylo's little line, even which is another just on the nose. That's what they're trying to do thing, which is another thing. I'm like, why is it so on the nose? I don't know.
Hey, here's another thing. Why did you have to unhelmet Kylo in Episode 7?
Yeah.
It's cool that you didn't see Vader's face till till Return of the Jedi. Should have kept the helmet on him. It's the coolest looking.
I'm assuming they did that so they directly didn't make it look like they were trying to copy Vader.
Why not? They copied 80% of the movie for Force Awakens.
That's a good point.
Hope,
that's a valid point. That's valid. That is valid.
Leave the helmet. Leave a little bit of mystery to it.
So one other thing that we wanted to do, and we have actually gone over our planned allotted time. No sorries whatsoever. Unless sorry to anybody who expected us to be off by now. But we also wanted to do it like a quick show review. We're gonna leave the Hulkbuster on the table.
You gonna leave it on there?
I want to leave him on there because what I want to do is kind of just show how
scale?
freaking mammoth this guy is compared to another regular figure. So. We're looking at the Zealot Sorcerer from I believe X Sensation. X Sensation, is that how you say it?
X Sensation?
Zensation.
Yeah, Zensation, there we go. Who is Caecilius, the character Caecilius from Doctor Strange.
Trademark.
Oops. I'm not showing any logos, so we're okay. All right, and I got him standing up here on a stand that is not included with the figure, but that's okay. This little disclosure note: the metal blade that you may or may not be able to see because I'm not zooming in on him here for you. There's two of those in the box, and he comes with the little gold 2-finger ring deal that
brass knuckles, almost like.
Yeah, the brass knuckle type piece, and look at how minuscule he is compared to this Hulkbuster. Let's just ditch the box, just so it's the figure and the figure. Look at how tiny that is. It doesn't even come up to his waist.
As a matter of fact, Hulkbuster
barely is junk.
Is bigger actually than some quarter scale figures,
Mm-hmm.
which is funny that it's a 6 scale.
That is interesting. That is wow. That is
I
so
tell you
big.
what, with the sorcerer.
Yeah, it's a great figure.
Great.
It is nice outfit, good detailings, layered.
I know if you're a 1/6 collector, I know a lot of people only like to stick with Hot Toys or Sideshow.
These independents are getting
these
better.
independent head sculptors.
We're gonna cheat up here, folks, and come up close.
For the last couple years, and there are plenty of examples.
This guy's face out.
That looks like Mads. That's him.
Definitely does. And they've got the cracks on the eyes, all around the eyes.
The facial features, the hair.
Very good. And the outfit, great figure.
But these sculptors that I don't want to say secondary companies because I don't think they're secondary.
Independent. I think independent is an excellent name.
Or what even not as not as well known companies, but
Mm-hmm.
independent works. These independent companies are getting some great head sculptors.
Yeah.
And they're getting great crafters on the. There are some great figures not made by Hot Toys out there.
And there's a lot more, and they're coming up. And the cool thing is, Hot Toys are expensive, and obviously a Sideshow figure is expensive. And they're licensed, so they gotta pay more for that. So they gotta cost more, obviously, because they always pass the savings down to everybody who's purchasing them. And when you're talking $200 or more to get in, on ground level for one of these figures, they have to pick who they're gonna make, pretty carefully nowadays, right? They gotta not.
They're making money at the end of the day. They got
Sure. It's a business thing, so they're going to pick mainstream characters and heroes.
That's why you get 25 different Iron Man and Batman,
right?
Because they know Iron Man and Batman will sell.
And Spider-Man and Black Widow, and you know.
It's an unfortunate sin that we have to live with as part of being. If you want to live Hot Toys, that's their.
You're
the
gonna.
great thing with the independents is they can stretch it out a little bit, and they can fill the market need for characters that Hot Toys and Sideshow or whoever will not make. This is one of those right there. It's a great.
It is. It is a really good figure. I like it a lot, and it'll go really well with that. And the cool thing is, because the level of quality is there, you can put that next to the Hot Toys Doctor Strange, and it won't really look like it's the stepbrother figure of this Doctor Strange figure. The head sculpt's there, the outfit is there, and I don't know. That makes collecting these things, a little bit more exciting at times, because you don't have to. Oh, I've always got to drop $2 25 or $2.50 for whatever figure I want to get.
Hey, if I don't see a character for something I like, hey, maybe one of these independent companies.
Right, exactly. I mean, and there's so many of them coming up.
Another franchise, better than this example is that's the X-Men franchise.
Yeah. Oh man, they're really
coming. About 85 million different Wolverines.
Yeah, but that's because Fox would only license. License Wolverine.
The great thing about some of these companies, you got Laser Eye, which is obviously a James Marsden lookalike. Cyclops,
yeah, we should do I should do a review of that. Yeah, I should do a review of him too.
That's a great figure. The Magpie is a great figure. There's what's the Charles Xavier one called? The Professor or something.
I don't know. What do they call that? What's the name of that guy?
Which one?
Professor Charles Xavier.
In the chair.
What's
couple of them.
Or any of them. The Toys R Us ones. What are the Toys R Us ones?
They gave him though. It's not the Xavier because of the trademark.
The McAvoy one's the telepath.
The telepath. And then what's the Stewart in the chair
I
one?
think they did call him Xavier.
Okay.
Or Francis.
What was
Francis? That was it. Francis.
What's the Storm one called?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what she's called. She's not out yet.
But there's just all these different characters that's what makes this hobby.
King of Metal is the older Magneto, I think. King of Metal, something like that. Isn't it King of Metal?
They're doing aren't they doing a Francis from Daredevil too? Axeman or something like that? Is that what he's called?
He's already out. Yeah, you can get him. Yeah, you can get him. He's only $120, which is pretty cheap.
And the quality of it looks pretty.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't come with very much.
We didn't have any.
You didn't? Okay.
No.
I see a Kingpin's coming out. We're doing a Fisk Kingpin.
That being said, I've also seen some ones that are maybe not. Everything's obviously open to opinion, and that's the Happy from Iron Man. The head sculpt on that one doesn't look very good.
I actually don't think it's bad.
Oh.
I don't think it's that bad. I mean, it's not. I mean, I don't know. I don't think it's bad.
Visible Jockey, what do you think?
It's okay. I did order one.
But you're a completionist. If it's a 1/6 figure, it's in your basement because your basement looks like the end of Raiders. It's just boxes. But and the great thing about this is it's all open to interpretation.
Sure.
And that's the great thing about this hobby is if you don't see one from, we'll call them quote unquote main companies, these independents will bring them out.
Well, what is that? What does that Happy figure cost? What is that?
$139?
Just over 100. I think.
That's half the price of a hot.
Yeah, that makes it pretty inviting when you're not having to spend that much money to get it. It's like,
if you want to do dioramas, hey, that's a great piece to add to an Iron Man one. I mean, to put Happy in there.
Sure.
They're not going to make it.
And another cool bit, and this is a conceit that I was actually talking to Invisible Jockey about earlier today, is that I think it's cool because a lot of these independent ones, they don't make a huge run of the figure because they can't afford it because they're a smaller company, and then it sells out because people are like, oh, well, then nobody's going to make that guy. I'm going to get him because they've never made him before, and they tend to look pretty good. And then they end up being worth more. Whereas a lot of times with the Hot Toys, if you want to flip something later to pay for another figure,
I hope nobody bought a first order trooper of any kind from episode 7.
Yeah.
You can't give
Yeah.
Because every single one that's just an example I'm getting, or some of the Iron Man.
Trying to sell mine, folks, right now on eBay, and they're not doing so good.
Words are, as opposed to the past where you could buy Hot Toys with a nose for it'll sell for double.
Yeah, right.
You cannot do that anymore.
Not very often.
Yeah. And I think that's a good thing for the hobby as a whole.
It's good. Yeah.
You're going to get more, but at the same time, it does.
But it makes it. I mean, unless you're just have tons of disposable income and don't look in the back don't look at our backdrop here, folks, to listen to what I'm saying. But I mean, just unless you have all this disposable income, you can just buy every figure that comes out. You have to be able to flip some of them at some point in order to pay for other ones.
Well,
And then like we're saying, once they're on Black Widow number 8, are you really going to be able to get anything out of that? I mean,
my Marvel figures, I only have one of each hero.
Right.
And when a new one comes out that looks good, I sell the old
exactly,
one.
you sell the old
I
one.
put it towards the new one.
Sure, but what stinks is there was a point where you would do that and you would get basically what you put into it, or maybe a little bit more, right back out of it.
Now,
not so much. Right.
But I don't, like I said, there's some figures I'll do that with, and some I just keep.
Sure, I mean, but and then there's other ones that
I've
do.
bought every version of Black Widow, so I know how they.
Yeah, and I've actually had all of them at one point or another too. I think, except I never got the Civil War one. But I don't know. It just the independent figures are pretty cool. They're nice. They also help flesh out if you want to have ancillary characters. They help flesh that out a lot of times.
The major companies also know that they're doing these.
Yeah.
And I think that in order to get better products, you have to have competition.
Yes, and I almost think that in some cases, I'm not going to say they work together, but it seems like there's almost like a bit of collusion of, we're going to make Doctor Strange, but nobody else, and then here comes...
You keep up with it better than Ray. You're more knowledgeable than 1/6 than us, and I think you say, like, Hot Toys has lost head sculptors to 3-0, and other store companies, haven't they? They've lost their head.
Blitzway and...
Yeah. So I mean, there's some competition there, but that also makes Blitzway a better company.
Well, sure, and then right.
Hot Toys has to.
And then they make a really awesome set of Ghostbusters that you can't afford, and there you go. I mean,
we'll talk about not delayed as much as this bad boy, but that's
not
delayed too.
not anywhere near as much as that.
A year? No, 6 months.
About 6 months on Ghostbusters, right?
Ghostbusters, was it 6 months?
Their original release date was January 2017.
Oh, almost
a year. About 10 months.
So what's the longest delay?
December.
Yeah.
So now, what's the longest figure that has been pre-ordered but not out? Hulkbuster's 2.5 years. Is there one that's?
No, I think that's.
Is it one? What didn't the Sigourney Weaver Alien one? Wasn't that a pre-order for a long time?
A while,
was, but
I don't think that long. And Sam Flynn was a while, but not. He was a year late, but not 2.5 years late.
Yeah, but was that with Light Cycle or?
Yeah, the Light Cycle.
That's probably the reason why on that. Well, that was a technological thing. They tried to get it right. Because, I said, that Zealot is a great piece to have. It's a great add-on if you're a Marvel fan, or especially if you're a Doctor Strange fan.
Sure. Yeah.
And the fact that there's another one that is not out yet from who's making the ancient one? What's
that's the same people? Company? Yeah, Zensation. Yeah.
Zensation's going to make that figure,
and it looks really solid too.
And I actually pre-ordered that one. And
I may have to try to pick one of those up too.
It looks really, really. The head sculpt on that one is.
Yeah. And, just as another little tidbit, and you unfortunately can no longer purchase either of these figures, but both of these figures were purchased from Time Walker Toys in Overland Park, Kansas. Also available on the internet at www.timewalkertoys.com. So, yeah, we had to throw our plug in for them. We've gone way over what we allotted, which I think is fun, and I don't really have a problem with that whatsoever. I hope anybody watching has enjoyed that as well. I think we are going to go ahead and wrap things up here for our first episode. So I want to thank
Bat Jockey for being here.
Bat Jockey for no longer being here at the end, but being here at the start. I want to
thank Ghost Jockey.
Yes, thank you very much for joining us, Ghost,
as always,
and bringing your Hulkbuster sample to show off on our inaugural episode.
Thanks to our host, Jockey 7.
Yes, thank you very much.
Yes. Not only hosting the show, but hosting it here in your studio.
Certainly, thank you.
We had a great time, and I look forward to doing it again.
Certainly, and we're gonna shoot to make this a weekly thing, and we're gonna just talk pop culture and talk movies or maybe TV shows or action figures, statues, whatever.
The chat room,
whatever's going on. Sure, yeah. If there's topics you want to discuss, certainly hit us up. Send us a whisper to Plastic Action Jockeys, a message, whatever, anything you want to discuss, and we will see if we can't work it in. If there's a figure you want us to maybe highlight or show, let us know, and we'll see if we can't maybe accommodate that as well. So we will be back next week with another episode of Jockeys Wax Plastica. Thank you for joining, and we will talk to you everybody soon. Have a good night.